Hello, this is Adam with Transparency Pro, the Game Machine, bringing you a very special look at a hot new Japanese fighting game that just came out to, well, Japan, called Night In-Birth Exe late. Yes, it's a long name, and that's kind of what they do. So, we're taking a look at this game. It is being published by Aksys Games, known for, of course, BlazBlue, Persona 4 Arena, Guilty Gear. And now they're actually publishing this game made by a company called Soft Circle French Bread. Now, you may not know this developer because they did publish an underground indie game called Melty Blood, which got really popular in the fighting game community, though it was still kind of a small niche since it never arrived here, and since it was based on a Japanese indie manga, never really saw the light of day here as an official release. But we are getting this game in 2015, but I said, you know what, let's go ahead and import a copy. Let's see what this game's about. Let's crack it open and take a look into it. So I'm going to give you guys a brief look into this and explain to you what I think of the game so far. Night features a really nice looking 2D style, not just in the characters, but also the backgrounds and menus and everything else as well. This game does take place at night in a major city, so you may be thinking it's all going to be dirty back alleys and stuff like that. Well, no, not really. While, yes, not everything's a bright and sunny level like a beach, the colors that they use and what they do with the color palette makes everything look really vivid and nice. They did a great job, especially with having to deal with every single background taking place at night. Though, of course, there are some indoor stages, and yes, you still have your dirty parking garage where you have your knife fights, because if you're going to fight and have a knife fight, you fight in a dirty parking garage. And the character designs, yes, are super anime. But you know what though? I really like it. Now some of the designs aren't really that bizarre, though I will say Merkava though is definitely one of the most bizarre, as he's like a giant bat guy with wings and with really long arms and legs too. It's really ridiculous. I love the soundtrack for this game. Each character has their own theme and it suits them very well. And menus and stage music also works very well, and will sometimes even give you a little bit of an itch for a fight. And guess what? You get to do a lot of fighting in this game. Alright, so let's talk characters. You got a cast of 16 playable characters, and there are no clone, copy characters, nothing like that. Each character plays differently, and you will find one that will definitely suit your playstyle. Actually, I played through a few different ones, and unlike most fighting games, I actually kind of got into some of these other ones because they aren't that really difficult to learn. In fact, most of the motions are quarter circle, half circle type fireball motions and stuff like that, which is actually really kind of nice, especially for someone who may be relatively new to fighting games. This may be a good one to pick up, though it does have some other complicated mechanics I'll get to later. But even with that said, yes, you can still mash around and just play around and then maybe get a few combos here and there, but you're going to really want to hit that train room so you can get better, especially for the online competition, because trust me, you sleep, they'll bite. I'm not going to go into too many details about how each character plays because there's so many other videos and stuff like that online of people who are more qualified to teach you that kind of stuff, so definitely go check those people out for sure. Now with that said, let's get into the gameplay. So basically it is your 2D fighting game. If you're familiar with games like Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, this is kind of similar, but a little bit different. Yes, you still have 4 attack buttons. We'll kind of use the A, B, C, D notation for this real quick. So you have your A attack, your B attack, your C attack, or light, medium, heavy. And the other button, which is usually mapped to X, or the D, is actually a very special button. This has to do with something called your grind gauge, or GRD. So basically, how this works is that it's a little bit of a virtual tug and war. You will need to do things to try to increase that bar. Every 17 seconds, this bar determines a winner. So how's a winner determined? You need to be a very aggressive player. Basically what I mean by this is that you need to be able to start moving toward your opponent, you need to start hitting your opponent, and make sure you're actually hitting your opponent. Things that will decrease the bar, backing up, and getting hit. So it's a risk-reward system. So how does this reward you if you're the winner of the grind gauge? Well, a couple different ways. One, you'll go into a mode called the Vorpal state. The Vorpal state will let you do some extra damage. So it's not anything crazy like X Factor or anything like that, but it will give you a 10% boost. Now on top of that, what you can also do in this mode as well, you can actually convert that energy by hitting D, or the X button on the controller, to actually convert that into meter for supers and EXE moves. Also, there's other stuff that you can do in this state. I don't want to go too much into it because it gets really deep, really complicated, really fast. And there's other like tutorials and stuff I'll put down below if you really want to get deep in the system. But it's a really interesting mechanic, and I think it's kind of neat that it's been added in there to this game. Also, there's another thing where instead of having like a typical air dash like in BlazBlue Guilty Gear, you get something called Assault. Basically, if you're in the air, you push forward and X or D. Basically what will happen is you'll do kind of like an air hop, or if you're on the ground, kind of like a small hop, and this also builds up your grind gauge a little bit. And so this is a way to kind of quickly get into your opponent and start attacking, though you are a little bit vulnerable. So like I said, this game really wants to give you a risk versus reward. Now, just starting out playing with friends, you know, you may not worry about this gauge too much, but if you get into more competitive matches, it will become more important. Also, if you just hit the D button, the X button, and hold it by itself, that will actually remove some of your meter to fill up your grind gauge, but of course leaves you vulnerable. So there's a lot of strategy to this game that can be played here. Of course, for everybody who may not be an online warrior, there are a ton of different modes. Now, there's not a deep story mode from what I can see. Of course, I can't understand any of it because it's in Japanese, but what you do get quite a bit of. You have an arcade mode, story mode, score attack mode, and so on. One of the other things that's cool is they have art galleries. They even have some guest art, especially from the creators of Skullgirls, which I think is really pretty awesome. On top of that, too, unlike some of the other Arc System games, I noticed there didn't seem to be a spot for DLC or anything like that. I don't know if that means that there won't be DLC, or if there actually is. I don't actually have mine connected to a Japanese PSN store at the moment, but as far as also like getting extra colors and stuff for your characters, you can actually buy them with points you unlock in the game. So playing arcade mode, score attack mode, playing with a friend, playing against a CPU opponent, playing online, you'll earn these points so you can unlock stuff like tags, to make your like gamer profile thing. I'm Dr. Delicious because that's the only thing in English that I thought would be crazy. So a lot of the titles and tags are still in Japanese, but you can also get face icons, even like custom colors and stuff as well for your character. So that's really neat. I like how it has that in there implemented. Like I said, I still don't know Japanese, so I don't understand all the menus and all the stuff, but oh, and of course I need to mention that the amazing netcode that you find in Arc System Games is here in full force. So if you're worried about the online, it plays pretty good for the most part. I only had a few matches that were kind of laggy due to bad connections, but also a lot of this game too is also being played by people in Japan, but there are still quite a few people here in the States and other places around the world that have picked this game up as well. So it actually runs pretty well. Kudos, Aksys. You know what though, when 2015 hits, I am definitely picking this up, and I can say so far, this game's been pretty enjoyable, so I'm going to try to put some more videos on the site with this. I'm going to try to find some time this week to do some matches and stuff, and get this up online. So yeah, this is running a little bit long, but this is my impressions of Night In-Birth Exe Lite. If you're into these kind of games and you want to get online and start fighting, then either go to the Japanese PSN store, get a copy, or just import it from your local friendly neighborhood importer or online store. For the rest of you guys who just like casually playing these fighting games, you know, you may want to wait till next year when it comes out, 2015, and you know, I'll be there with a review, and I'm going to be putting some of the matches here on this channel. I'm still new, still getting my ass kicked, but you guys are going to get to see my ass getting kicked. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions about the game, please let me know. I'll also provide some helpful links to some resources I've used, such as Dust Loop, Broken Tier, and some other like tutorial videos I've seen, which are subtitled. But yeah, they're very helpful, and I think that they might be helpful for you guys too. So until next time, goodbye.